right, everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another session that we have here regarding our live Q&A call. And today is June the 24th, and we're really looking forward to this session as well as these Thursday sessions because we are going to be going into a ton of detail on how we can exactly work on some advanced feature options within the Investment Dominator, as well as just kind of walking through some available steps that are made for those advanced students. And we're really going to be diving into whatever you guys want today, especially in regards to our Thursday call. So again, let me go ahead and bring up our PowerPoint right here. So I want to thank you guys for joining. And if you did have any questions at all, you can actually go ahead and see on my screen right now. You should be able to see a questions box. For those of you that are in the call, send a little hello if you can hear my voice or just something so that I'm able to know that I am not talking to myself, and that would be much appreciated. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into our Thursday session. So again, this is going to be primarily the advanced section posed towards Investment Dominator students with any questions or any features that you kind of want to go over revolving around the Investment Dominator. There's been quite a lot of good updates coming around, and we'll just go ahead and take apart let's see, some questions that we have from you guys. So again, if you have any questions at all, just go ahead and open that questions tab and submit that in. But just want to keep it aware that we are actually going to be keeping everything the same with the Investment Dominator, and everything is going to be going with this LPG deal flow. And this is going to be very persistent and consistent throughout the kind of the calls that we're having today, as well as any other session going forward. So just keep in mind that some company information, county data, alpha requests, all of this information is able to be taken into the Investment Dominator, and output you have some of the stuff that we will be seeing here today that we're going to work with, such as websites. We may dive into calculators and tools, but I really want to get into team management, maybe some analytics as well. But we'll see kind of where everybody has their questions and kind of the main points that we can stick across. But our last Monday session, we actually did not have any backlog questions. So we actually don't have any backlog questions right now. You guys can go ahead and ask questions at any time. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that I am on this screen so I could pull this up whenever for you guys in case if new people join and they do not know how to submit a question. Kind of just go about it like that. But so today's session is going to be pretty important, and we're going to also review some materials that I had mentioned to you guys on previous calls before. So for instance, if there's not a lot of questions going on, we're going to go ahead and discuss today some hot topics that I want to say. And these are just kind of revolving around tickets that have been coming in for the week, and just kind of reviewing some overall information that we deem as essential. So if you might not know what I'm talking about, let's see, we have on our hot list just kind of going back and forth with TechSmith and being able to capture images for comps. I believe it was maybe one Thursday call ago, or maybe 2 Thursday calls ago, we had started diving into the selling site and looking at some of the selling site properties and some of the information that can be listed. It actually seems that I didn't have available records for the complete and ready to sell tab. So, went ahead and actually loaded those up so we can go ahead and kind of gain some more clarity upon that subject. And let's see. And as well as just kind of diving into the selling site themes and the available customization options that we have. And again, you know, if there's any questions along the way, we'll go ahead and break that down. No problem at all. Just make sure you know how to submit those questions. And we're going to bring back a recent topic that we did before. We tried it on a different audience, so let's see how it goes. But we're going to talk and discuss about Zapier, and we're going to talk about how we can connect it to apps such as Ring Central and Google Sheets. And if there's any type of other example that you guys kind of want to see done, if I do have a profile for it, I can go ahead and actually live test that for you guys. So, you know, if any questions come to mind or anything comes to mind along the way and anywhere during the presentation, just go ahead and comment that, and then we'll go ahead and take a look into that. So again, thank you all for joining, and let's kind of dive into this. So let's see here. So the first kind of subject that we're going to dive into is about TechSmith. So in case if you weren't aware of what TechSmith is, what you can go ahead and do is click on your Help tab over here, and you can go to Search Our User Guide. You'll notice that we have a keyword option that you can search your terms by. So for instance, let's see, so we can go ahead and actually maybe type in TechSmith and see what we get. And then we'll go ahead and search our user guide. So yeah, so you'll come across this article, How to Effectively Report Technical Issues for Support. So you'll notice that they'll kind of get more information on that, but we really want to get to this feature here, TechSmith Capture. So what you'll actually notice is that this feature allows you to basically capture your screen as well as provide documentation such as arrows or any arrows such as this and any type of I guess you could say you could make like little blocks and little images that you can direct onto your pictures after you're done capturing your screen. But the main reason that I want to bring it up today specifically involves the functionality on the, let's go to the Land tab here, on editing these images right here. So we have our two records that we have, which we're going to work on, and both of these records are actually on our selling site, and they're displaying information. So a lot of what's come in to the Investment Dominator kind of revolves around the selling site and working through with some of the items there. So we're going to go ahead and actually dive into this and do some live demonstrations revolving around this. And hopefully that'll also clear up some information for everybody regarding this. Do keep in mind that all these calls are recorded and you can actually zoom back in time and review any of the information that we're discussing right now. So just keep that in mind. But so let's see. So TechSmith. So you download TechSmith, and I believe if I open it up, I see something like this: TechSmith Capture app. It gets a little wonky when I do this on live stream, so we'll see if it starts acting up, but I might just show you this side for demonstration purposes. So, you'll get this red capture button, and then you'll be able to basically snap an image like you'll see here, and then add these arrows, which you can see showcased. So the reason why this is important is because let's say we're going over here to our websites and we're on our selling site, which we're loading up right here. You'll notice that I have two properties. So right here, these two properties, which actually, don't have the available information either filled out or added and uploaded. So you may notice that your kind of screen looks like this when you first start out adding your properties to your selling site. So this is actually normal, and the way that we can go about editing this will actually use the help of TechSmith. So what we can go ahead and do is begin to look up our properties. So when we're in the stage for complete and ready to sell, we are actually already, we have researched our property, we've done that whole snap, and we have like images that kind of we can see about our property. And let's say that we want to include them. So for instance, let's work on this record here. So the owner is Lotta D, and then this is in Florida, Sarasota. So again, this record is in the complete and ready to sell status, which is why it is populating on our site that we have here. So let's go again. So we'll go ahead and we'll go into edit, and then we'll be able to see the record that we're working on. So you'll notice when we have our complete and ready to sell here, if we scroll all the way down, there actually is an option which allows us to be able to see the property. And what I mean by that is adding an image. So you'll see an option here called upload your files. This is where you're going to work on and kind of gaining these images so that you'll be able to post them to your site. So, you know, a great feature to use that with is TechSmith. And actually, instead of just hitting capture and then sharing a link, what we're gonna go ahead and do is take those pictures, which I do believe I have some preloaded, so we'll see that. But once you're done taking your pictures, you'll notice that, you know, you have some stuff here that you want to work with. So for instance, if we go ahead and upload that, we'll notice that the picture kind of uploads here. So one thing that is very confusing when working with this, well, not confusing, but some students actually find where they need to pay attention more is that when you upload something into the Investment Dominator, especially you know, regarding your selling site pictures for your property, once you go to start upload and you actually select it, or no, once you go to locate file and then you locate it, you'll see that it's put in this pending status here. So it's actually not uploaded until you hit the blue button right there to do your upload. And as you can kind of see, it went pretty fast, but you know, your load will have to take place, and then once it notices that your file is ready, then it'll actually just go ahead here and populate. So this is our, let's just call this our featured image for right here. We'll go ahead and make this public and make this featured. So again, you know, just naming it and doing that check mark isn't going to, you know, check off these statuses here. So you want to be sure that for the images that you have the correct setup for those images. So for instance, you know, we've already used TechSmith and we kind of gathered up some more resources about the property. If we're actually in our Finder right here, you'll see we have an option to select multiple pictures. And again, this is on actually Windows, so do keep in mind this may be a different setup than a Mac computer would be, but right here. So we have some images, and let's actually go ahead and look at these images here. So in another example, when you do locate your files, you'll be able to run them all up side by side like that, and then you'll just hit start upload, and all of those images will actually do the upload. So you'll have an option to kind of select names. I'm not going to go ahead and change the names for right now. We're actually just going to keep them by their default names, but you'll notice that all of these images actually populated on this correctly. So we don't have to worry about anything of that sort. And we don't want to make these, so we want to make these public, but we don't want, and we can only have one featured image. And we'll just test that there. Yeah, so only one featured image right there. So once we're done with this section here, let's go ahead and see the updates that was made to our website. So we go ahead to our selling website and we'll refresh. And we'll notice that this property now has some images going along with it. And these are provided by, well, not provided by, but we took them using our TechSmith. So keep in mind of actually what we can do. And then you could kind of see here more information about all of your images. Do keep in mind that section where I was, you know, where they gave me the option to change the name. It looks like it actually does populate the names for most of your images. It looks like not the featured image though. So keep in mind, just give like a brief description of the image when you are uploading it. It also helps for search engine optimization. So keep that in mind when people are trying to locate your sites. So that's kind of how we would go about using TechSmith to update our selling site. And before we go into a little bit more detail about that, it does look like we have a question. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. Okay, so we have a question from John, and the question goes, I have a data tree account in addition to the one with Jack Bosch. Is there an instruction sheet on how to create a CSV file from data tree directly to Investment Dominator? So it's an interesting question, John. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by when you included Jack Bosch there, the account specifically that you're talking about. But you know, everything revolving around data tree is actually, let's go ahead and let me see if I can go ahead and open a new tab here. Or actually, I'll just duplicate this tab. Okay, so let's go back to our land section here. So he wants to know all the information about data tree, and we can totally help you out there, John. So let's see. So let's actually go to our user guide that we have here. And you can actually just type in data tree. One thing that I did notice, which we will take a look into, is that if you type in data tree altogether as compared to data tree with space, data tree with the space does populate more articles. So if you did do it just one word like that, you'll kind of notice that. I'll go ahead and update that when we can. But for this purpose, we'll actually see, number one, how to add our paid service to your Investment Dominator system. So John, it does seem like you are relatively new to our data tree service and our data tree integration. So just kind of keep in mind that when you're importing your list and you have purchased our data tree integration, which you'll kind of see more information about here, we have some available options at 470 records per month, which is about 47 monthly, 1385 records per month, which is $97 monthly, and 2450 records per month, which comes out to about 147 monthly. So keep in mind that when you do go up in price like that, so this plan, for instance, our first tier, you're getting 10 cents a record. Your second tier, you're getting 7 cents a record. And your third tier, you're getting 6 cents a record. So, you know, it really tries to work out in your favor. And again, if you actually want more than 2450 records, you're going to have to actually call in about that. But the reason that I'm mentioning this to you right now is because when you're working with data tree and you're trying to understand exactly how things work, do keep in mind that what's going on is we have an integration and it's within the Investment Dominator. And this basically allows the Investment Dominator to pull data from the county, which we're then going to data tree for. So, you know, we're partnering with this application so that we can bring their services to the Investment Dominator. So keep in mind when you go to import your land list, you'll actually notice that there's two options. And this update happened a while ago, so I'm not exactly sure if you were around by then or you know what the situation may be. But just keep in mind that instead of just having a tab to upload and import a CSV file, we now have another tab right here, which is called Get Data from Data Tree. So when you click on the Get Data from Data Tree, you'll notice that it actually changes the options that you'll see available rather than just clicking on Import from a CSV file. So the reason is because when you're creating a new data tree list, you're actually doing everything within the system itself. So there's no need for you to upload anything into the system at that point. You'll see here we have the option after you select the Get Data from Data Tree. Under Step 2, you'll see a Select New Data Criteria. This is actually what you're going to do in order to start up your basically your search for your list right when you begin with data tree. And you'll also notice there is a load criteria option here. So if you're working with the account you previously worked for and you save the criteria, you save the exact search that you want to do, you can always actually come back to this later. So do keep that in mind. And besides our article on how to add our data tree, you'll actually see an article here called How to Generate a New Land List with Our Optional Paid Outside Data Service Option. So kind of like what we already described, the process in going to import and selecting get data from our outside data service, you'll see that, you know, you have that button to create new criteria. And from that point, when you hit that button to create new criteria, you'll really be opened up to an entirely new screen. And this will be our, you know, our integration that we added, basically. So if you scroll down, you'll see that after you enter the state and county for which you're trying to pull a list from, you can actually select the market range value of what you want your search to kind of contain. So for this example, our default values are set at 5,000 to 100,000. So we'll keep our market value within those ranges, but just keep in mind that we also have more options for advanced filters as well, which we kind of dive more into detail with here. And you know, you can always read this article at any time for, you know, this call purposes. I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of show you the images that we have here. But we have the property size range, which you could change. If you wanted to include owners with multiple properties, you can go ahead and say yes. But if you wanted to import only one property per owner, we do have a check mark for that as well. Options such as exclude in-state owners, as well as exclude owners on do not mail list. Ownership type, you can either choose between a company or an individual, and filter by improvement value. You can select no or yes, and if you do select yes, it will just ask you kind of the range of values you want to see improvement in. And then it'll just ask you your last sale date, and then as well as this option down here to exclude previously imported records. So once you selected that whole option for data tree, John, what you'll notice is that you know, you'll have a button right here, which right now says refresh count, but in the beginning when you first make your list, it'll actually say get count. So you know, now that we clicked get count, you'll see it's refresh count, but you'll see that there are a certain amount of records that meet this criteria. Now, keep in mind that this number right here does not mean that you are going to, you know, you're selecting these 1,900 records to upload. It just means that there are this many records that meet this criteria. So keep that in mind. Now, when you're choosing how many records you actually want to bring into the Investment Dominator, that's when you're actually going to look at this section here for limit size of mailing. When you do limit size of mailing, the first box indicator here with a 1 in it actually lets you know how many records you're importing into the Investment Dominator. So do keep that in mind, the 3 different numbers that we have here. And this third number, which is actually highlighted, highlighted in blue, you'll see has text such as remaining right next to it, and then it'll have a number. So actually what this option lets you know is how many records you have to import for the month. So keep in mind that if you have not used the allotment of records that you are given per month, it is actually going to reset for next month. So just make sure you're importing those records that you have left over every month. So again, this is actually going to let you know how many you can use. So let's say, for instance, there's, for this case, there's 1927 records. Let's say I wanted to do 500. So if I actually wanted to type in 500, I couldn't do that because my remaining is only 100. So 100 will just come out. Do keep in mind that one thing that's super convenient about data tree is the fact that you can just import this list and have it uploaded into the Investment Dominator. And also another great feature I really strongly recommend you using is this feature down here to tag records. You can actually create a tag which you'll see here. You just type it in, and then once you're done, just click this blue highlighted section right here that says click to add, and then you'll add your new tag, and you'll see it populate right here where we have this gray tag with an X mark symbol there. So as well as if you do click that X mark symbol, you actually can delete the record as well. So for organization purposes, it's always best to kind of make sure your records are clear and concise, and so that you know where they're coming from. So just add a record on top of what you're doing, especially if you're working within a county for multiple times. I do find that using tags as well as importing just small sections of records within Investment Dominator does prove to be quite useful moving on. But you'll notice that there's a ton of more articles, and John, I do suggest this article here too if you do have some more questions. We have our outside data service FAQs. So this may be why you may not have seen this directly within the Investment Dominator, but do keep in mind we have about 17 loaded up questions here on our favorite asked questions regarding data tree. So yeah, so hopefully that answers your question and kind of breaks down to you everything about data tree. And I really wanted to spend the time to go over that because a lot of people do have that question. So thank you so much, John, for asking. But let's go ahead and see what else we can work with. So I do believe we have last left off on adding our, let's see if we can go to our website, selling site right here. So we added this image here, and now everything looks good with our website. The only other thing that I kind of want to go over in regards to this information here is exactly some customization options that we have. So if you go ahead and type in customization into, actually let's just type in selling site, because I want everything regarding the selling site to kind of come up. So again, you can manipulate the order of the property listings on your selling site, as well as change something from pending or sold on the selling site. Very helpful article. This one, for instance, is pretty cool too. This one just goes into how to change your theme as well as creating custom themes. We have seen a pretty big uptick in people creating custom themes, which is great. It's really honestly great to see you guys working with this and understanding the information that's kind of being pushed out. So again, one thing to keep in mind are these merge fields in regards to working with the selling site and your custom themes. But we always have options for people, especially who aren't as technically advanced. So we have a sample selling site theme here, which we call Teal Profits. So actually I already have this loaded up into my Investment Dominator. So for instance, we're looking at our selling site right now, and it looks pretty good, but let's say we wanted a little bit more of a pop to it, right? So if we go into customize from our main tab within the Investment Dominator, and we actually go to website settings, let's see, selling, then if we scroll down, there's actually an option to change our theme, and you'll see it under the opt-in page right here. So we have our legacy option, which is the one that we previously saw already. Then we have our 2.0 option. And keep in mind that legacy has been tested since the beginning, since we really started kicking in progress with the with the selling website. And since legacy was proven and tested, we thought we would take our hand at it again, and now we have our 2.0 theme. So this is kind of a really cool theme to also kind of make it pop more. And as well as that theme that I was discussing to you previously, where is it? Teal Profits. They actually have that loaded up right here too. So I always get kind of questions regarding the selling site and how you can go ahead and customize those themes. You can actually just go ahead to upload a custom theme here and just kind of upload the zip folder with the theme. So for instance, this article right here, once you download that, just go ahead and upload and drag that right in. So I'll show you guys the 2.0. So we'll go ahead and update the site. Let's go back here. So we'll see Maybe if we go back, let's try this again. I do have 2 sessions of the Investment Dominator open, so I'm going to close this one. Let me go ahead and log out and log back in. And then let's do customize, and that. Do customize, setting. Okay, we do have the 2.0 selected, so let's see now. If I go back to update site and refresh. So there may be something that's causing this to change, but it really should be. Let me go ahead and try teal profits. So we'll do teal profits and then we'll update site. And let's refresh. So teal profits, it seems to be working on. We will have to check up on that 2.0. That may be just for my site here. But what you'll see is kind of a big pop-up with this deal. And our first image that we have here, if we go ahead and click it, the one that we just uploaded earlier this call, we'll actually see all of the images that we have, as well as all the information pertaining to that. So do keep that in mind. We have those options available, and as well as options to kind of change your homepage, deals, contact us, and phone number. So for instance, if we go back to our customize and then we go back to website settings selling, you'll actually see something that says, and I'll go back if that was too fast for some of you. I'll go back to manage selling site menu. So you actually see that right above your selling site domain where you have that done and secured, which you should. And if not, you can go ahead and kind of submit a ticket about that if you still have more issues pertaining to that. But you'll see manage selling site menu. And then you have here, let's see what we have set. So we have our phone number, which is set up at the top. We can do as well as our property listing, real estate for sale. That should be it. Footer menu, we can just leave as real estate, and we can go ahead and save that. So do keep in mind that you can change this at any time, but if we scroll over here to our selling website, we'll notice that some things do change. And whoops, sorry about that, everybody. So there we go. So you'll notice some things change, and there's a button there. So there's a lot of customization options that you kind of can do when working with this, especially, and such as changing your menu background colors, menu text colors. We went over that in previous calls before, but as well as changing your selling site layout. So some of them have big featured images here, and then other ones have little small ones which are located like such there. So and as well as you have an option to change your banners. I actually just went ahead and uploaded this new banner, RER CRM, so you'll actually see that located right there. So just kind of keep in mind of everything that you can do, but at any time, so let's say we wanted to reset this to default. We can actually just go ahead and do that there. So we'll go ahead and save that. So at any time, you don't really have to worry about making changes and worrying about like messing up your site. For instance, you can actually rearrange that altogether. So next we have more listing elements that you can do regarding your site, just call to action, property details. As well as on the bottom, you'll notice that there's just kind of options where you can do custom pages and posts, and these can actually be created for here. So creating a new listing element, and you could actually go ahead and do that as well. I do think, let me close these, we do have an article about that. So let me see, a listing element. See if that comes up. So yeah, customize website settings, selling property listing elements. You'll notice that these are all the elements that you can select, which we have kind of highlighted here, as well as anything else. So if you actually, I do think you're able to change your headline, which you'll see here. So let me see, going back to website settings, selling, and then going to view deal. So instead of having these like little names under your images, what you can actually go ahead and do is take a look at this article and see exactly how you can kind of like get rid of that, but also you have an option here to add a property listing description, as well as more either subline, headlines, just basically anything that you want to go ahead and pull your audience in. You have the option to change. And like I was referencing before, because you have this option to kind of create a new listing element, you actually can create one from scratch. And you can either provide code, which you had already worked for or worked on, or you can just create a new element altogether. But do keep in mind that when we were talking about merge fields are actually going to be quite helpful in creating elements for either your websites or web pages, etc. So just kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, that'll pretty much cover everything that has to do with the website settings and selling, as well as customization revolving around this. And hopefully that clears up that question that was asked a while back, just kind of about images on your selling website. So yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the questions that we have right now. Let's see if we can pick something apart. Okay, so it looks like we have a question from Tim, and the question is, how can we add, let's see, how can we add users onto our account for the Investment Dominator, or Investment Dominator ID? Okay, so, all right, so we're gonna work on doing this now. The question for Tim, let's go ahead and see exactly how we can do that. Okay, so we have an option here for adding a user, and you know, a big help when working anything with the Investment Dominator is we want to add, let's see here, we want to add, oh, this is the user guide. Okay, I was looking for the user guide, so right here, so let's put in users, or more specifically, we can do team, but we have team here. So how to set up users or team with access to the Investment Dominator. So this is actually going to be your main guide, your main kind of focus revolving around this. And the reason that I'm mentioning this right now is because this article will go ahead and not only set up either an admin or a rep to your account, but you'll notice that there's a specific access that an admin has compared to the access that a representative has. And the reason why we have the separate kind of need for this type of profile is because the rep, more specifically, is focused on people that we have for our extension one. So if you're aware of our recommended Ring Central setup, the Ring Central that we recommend, our extension one will actually be Pat Live, which is a 24-hour call center. So we're not going to want to go ahead and create an admin for the account in specific regards to that. We're actually going to create a rep account. So once we're done with that rep account, then you'll also see the features that are available and that can be either allowed or not allowed within the Investment Dominator. So just kind of keep that in mind when working with that, as well as if you did want, I do believe if we type in Pat Live, let me go ahead and check that, you'll see a specific article for how to get access to a Pat Live member. And then you'll see that actually right there located for us. So again, different use cases, but also different permissions that are going to be added. You know, this is all, I'm assuming that if you're using this, you have virtual assistants, so you'll also need to be aware of the information that you are giving to the Pat Live member. You know, when they're rep, we usually have just reps as their name, and Pat Live is the first name. but just kind of keep that in mind when giving them their information as well as their username. So for instance, we have rep4 to just indicate the different representatives that we have on the account. One thing that you might find useful is when you're creating the username for this user as well, you can go ahead and just use the same ID number that you used for your representative in the username as well, and that should clear things up for you a lot. So just more options on what you can kind of either allow or not allow. Stuff like enable tour, allow to delete a property. When working with Pat Live, you don't really want them to have access to delete or merge properties. Edit properties we allow because you're editing. I mean, not you, but their Pat Live member will be editing information regarding the property. So processing those new offer requests, as well as we have here delete contact. You don't want them to have that. Allow to edit a contact. You want them to have that. And then the rest we're just going to go ahead and say no. But you just want to keep in mind of what you can allow them to do, as well as the options that they will not have access to. And usually as a Pat Live representative, they know this as well, but if there's more information regarding that, you can always just click on this. But, just go ahead and type in Pat Live into the user guide, and that should be able to help you in regards to that. But really the main bulk of that information revolves around giving access. So those two articles should help you and kind of move you forward towards the things that you need to do. But all right, so glad and hopefully that helped you in regards to this. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other additional items that we have right now. So for instance, let's go to, I do believe we're going to try and go into Zapier, and let's say I'll open that. So in case if you were just kind of wondering, first impression, let's say you have no idea of what Zapier is, or kind of like what you can do with it and what's its use case is for. Just kind of giving you a brief example, you are basically able to do automation with Zap. And the whole thing is called Zapier, but you make zaps. And basically what you do with your zap is that you test the functionality between two apps that you want to try to combine. So for this instance, we can do Google Sheets with the Investment Dominator. So what we'll notice is that when we're taking in this information, we'll need to test it, and that it goes to Zapier and performs the function correct. Then it goes to Google Sheets, which performs that next function, and then it'll basically create a zap. And what that zap will do is once you set it to automatic, anything that triggers it, so in order for a zap to basically work, is that there needs to be an event to trigger something that you want to happen. So for this instance, we are going to create a zap, which is going to basically ping whenever the Investment Dominator creates a new record for our pending and preliminary research status. We're actually going to take that record and we're going to populate that record onto a Google Sheet. So for instance, we have things like this. So for these purposes, we went ahead and we edited these tabs, but let's actually go ahead and clear these tags. So this is our brand new Google Sheet, and for instance, we're going to go ahead and populate this, but we're not going to edit it directly onto this Google Sheet. What we're going to go ahead and do is actually use Zapier in order to get this done. So I actually should have already been signed in, but we'll go ahead and just do that. That should be able to sign us in. Yes. Okay. So we're signed in, and now we are going to work with our Zap. So what we want to keep in mind is the first app that we're going to connect with, we want to be able to basically do our workflow, which is what we're going to connect the apps and then select the actions and basically select the output that we want. So in creating our workflow, let's start with the Investment Dominator. So once we start with the Investment Dominator, they'll recommend you some workflows as to what you can do. You'll actually notice when we click on Google Sheets, we have some more availability in the options that are here. So make sure you're on the latest version of the Investment Dominator, but what we're going to go ahead and do is select our trigger as well as select our action. So let's go ahead and select our trigger. So we're going to do when update record happens, then do an action. So for instance, when update record happens, then create a spreadsheet column. Or create a spreadsheet row, I should say, actually, because we want to populate this row, but we're going to leave the columns alone. So let's go ahead and see if this is actually what we're going to go ahead and do. So what's great about the software is that you can actually always just go ahead and try it. So then what you'll see here is the Investment Dominator account. What you'll need to do is actually go ahead and select the Investment Dominator. And keep in mind that if you are unaware of kind of everything that has to do with Zapier, you can actually go into the help section of the Investment Dominator and type in Zapier. And you will be connected with these 3 articles that we have here regarding the everything with Zapier. So if you actually click on how to connect Investment Dominator to DocuSign, you'll see a step-by-step process. But the reason why I'm bringing this up right now is because we have to actually allow Zapier to access your Investment Dominator account. And to do that, you go to the profile section of the Investment Dominator, and you scroll all the way down. You'll see something that says API credentials. So I'm not going to go ahead and click to open these tabs, but if you click the profile section here, you'll see API credentials and API user guide as well populates. So click on API credentials and it'll actually open up to this section that you'll see here, this API key. You'll go ahead and copy that API key, paste that into the Zapier. It'll be like a short window within Zapier, and you can actually just go ahead and paste your API key there as well as your app URL too. And you'll notice that your app URL is actually directly below your API key. So those are right there hand in hand. So just kind of wanted to bring that up in case if you actually are following along and you are kind of curious or worried as to why your Investment Dominator account didn't pull up. So that's what you have to do in order to set up that trigger. So once you're done, then we'll go ahead and choose the status. So let's go ahead and choose pending preliminary research. So then we'll click next. So keep in mind when we're creating our trigger, we have the record type, and the record type will be a land deal. And then we have our record status, which is listed under as pending preliminary research. So do keep in mind that these are going to be actually essential in you creating this trigger. So once you set up your trigger, the next thing that you're going to see, and you'll actually see it a lot within Zapier, is that you have to actually test your trigger. So once we test it, we actually do. Zapier was able to find a record within the Investment Dominator so that we can pull this record and basically, use it. So keep in mind, anytime a record is now updated within the Investment Dominator, it's going to ping this Zap. but that's only if we have the Zap turned on, so do keep that in mind. But some of the information that you'll see pulled here is such as property type, property status, property address, property city. So all these kind of like merge field options, you'll see populated right onto here. So do keep that in mind. So then we'll see. So the next section that we have is to go into Google Sheets and to actually choose where we are going to update information. So this is a great, I really like the fact that it's step by step and you kind of don't really have room for error. There's a lot of fields that are required as well, so these will let you know and make sure that you're doing the right things in order to do your functionality, as well as if you click on this question mark, you'll actually see some more information regarding this. So, don't feel like you should be discouraged just from not being as technical with working with Zapier, and just kind of keep that in mind. So you'll see create spreadsheet row. So we'll go ahead and link our Google Sheet account. I don't believe you have to provide a API key for this, so you can actually just go ahead and just log in to your Investment Dominator. Your Google Sheets account. And then what it'll ask next is for you to just choose your drive, which I have chosen there. And then you should be able to select the spreadsheet that you want to work on, as well as the worksheet. So for this instance, our spreadsheet is called Property Research, and our worksheet is just sheet 1. We're on sheet 1 here. So I do keep that in mind. So next, you'll see that actually this Zapier, this Zap, will connect everything. So all the columns that we have within the Google Sheet that we have here will actually now populate onto here. And then we'll notice that we can pull information directly from the Investment Dominator because we created this Zap and we created this functionality to basically add 2 apps which weren't talking to each other before, and we can basically make them talk to each other so that they can help us out, and as a result, we call that automation. So you'll see that there's a move status here. I actually don't have anything from the Investment Dominator that would be entered, so this will leave that field alone. But owner ID is definitely something that we can add from the Investment Dominator. So even though you type in owner ID into the search bar, make sure that you do click that owner ID and make sure that populates like such. Then you can go ahead and close that. So then first name that we have here. So let's see, first name. We'll go ahead and type that in, search for that. Actually, not there, but we'll type it into this. So first name. Not getting anything coming up for that. Let me just go ahead and try that again. So let's go ahead and actually just use that first name. Let's do that again, call our first name. Take away that F. There we go. I had some struggle with that one. So then next we'll do last name. And we have call our last name there. We'll delete that information. And then we have status. So if we type in, let's say, to this status. So we have property listing status. So we're not going to go ahead and actually click this first option for property listing status. We'll click on this second one for pending preliminary research, because this actually defines the status that we're in. So we'll click on that. And then the last 2 that we have, so we have APN, which will include property APN, as well as property county. So we can actually just type in property and then property county, and we have Sarasota. So we can go ahead and delete this one. And now we have all the information that we want to actually go ahead and pull into our Google Sheets from the Investment Dominator. So this is extremely helpful. So we'll go ahead and actually test this. And we'll see that they actually did this test. So let's go and we'll do test and review. So we did our test, and our test was successful, and all of the applications basically talk to each other, and we're able to populate the specific row that we have. So now, if we go to our Google Sheets, we'll actually notice that from a deleted sheet, which all the information was gone, we now have our owner ID information filled out, first name, last name, status, APN, as well as property count. So do keep in mind that this is a extremely useful software, and you can really do a lot of amazing stuff with it. And you know, once you're ready, and once you're you know, fully completed all your testing and gotten everything up to date with your Zap, the last option for you to do in regards to this part is to go ahead and actually just turn on your Zap. From that point, you will basically always have this function working out. Looks like I did another test. Yeah, so it pops up again. All right, so basically when you're done, you could just go ahead and click on, and then you can go ahead and just finish this out. For this instance, I am actually going to go ahead and turn it off, but you'll notice that it basically saves and updates accordingly. And what I mean by that is if you wanted to actually, you know, test your functionality, maybe fix your Zap or do something else, you'll have the option to, because you're everything that you're working with and everything that's kind of done hand by hand will be able to be auto saved by the software, so you can always just come back to it. So you know, you never really have to worry about like, oh, I forgot where I was in my Zap. That'll tell you the exact step, as well as any more testing that needs to be done in order for you to kind of work with that. So I hope that was a useful example, and I hope it got you interested and involved with the Investment Dominator, strictly pertaining to Zapier. And if you do have any more questions regarding Zapier, again, the best way to do some research about that is either to go onto Zapier itself and see some quick start guides, or you can actually just go ahead into the Investment Dominator and see the information that we have here. As well as if you have more technical issues and functionality that's involved with your Zap that you're trying to work through, you can actually just go ahead and submit a ticket as well if you had more questions about that and kind of what can be involved and what can be done. So do keep that in mind when working with the Investment Dominator, and really hope today was an informative session for everybody here right now. And I want to thank everybody for hopping on. So it doesn't look like we have any more questions coming in, but I do want to go ahead and end on a great note. So let's see. So we have a quote here, which I want to go ahead and highlight. And it's from Mother Teresa. So the quote goes, "Be faithful in small things, because it is in them that your strength lies." So when you're kind of working with the Investment Dominator, there's a lot of stuff going on here. There's so many little minutia details that can change and, you know, influence kind of what you're doing, and it's very easy to kind of get overwhelmed. But I do want to have you keep in mind that doing the small things with Investment Dominator and just sticking through with it and working, you know, every day towards either a goal that you have in mind, such as sending your first mailing, you know, remailing to another county, anything of those sorts. If you just take it step by step and you just kind of make sure, you know, all your files are organized, your head's in the right place, you have all the research information that you need in order to, you know, like move your property from pending preliminary research to complete and ready to sell. There's a lot of stuff involved with the Investment Dominator, and we do have these calls every week to try to help you and bring some more clarity to the table when working with this. But keep doing those small goals, keep organizing all of your files, add your tags, make sure all of your customized information regarding your company information as well is all up to date and correct. And do keep in mind that this is a community where we are always trying to help each other. So Again, we will have our Monday call next week going over our setup, and then next Thursday we are going to do our next advanced topic section revolving around the Investment Dominator. But really want to thank you all for stepping on today and taking the time to be here. And as always, appreciate doing these calls and looking forward to seeing you all on the next one. So remember, next Monday is our beginner call, and I will see you then. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and bye-bye.